hand it off to Sophia, who will be our interviewer for today. Sophia is a sophomore at the Shidler School of Business. She currently serves as the Director of Professional Development for the International Peace Organization. She is also chairwoman for the Campus Center Board Activities Council and one of UH Manoa's largest programming boards, helping to promote and support the value of student life on campus through engaging events for the student body and beyond. So I will hand it off to Sophia, and she can also do a little introduction about IBO.
Yeah, so hi everyone. Thank you to Addie for the wonderful introduction. I didn't really put a script right over here, but again, essentially the International Business Organization is one of like 15 organizations here at Shidler, where we promote studying abroad through our general meetings and our workshops about like all the different opportunities here. But we are also a business club providing a bunch of opportunities such as professional development events, socials, and community service, all that type of fun stuff. So, I guess we can go ahead and like get started, but before we start, Chloe, you can hear us, right? You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So start, I want to show Chloe how many people are in this room today. We had about like 60 something people that were stuffed in this tiny room to listen to your amazing selves. So everyone, please give a hand to Chloe Shih. Her product manager, Discord, awesome person. Y'all saw the event. There you go. Hopefully you know who she is. Yeah, so Chloe, if you would like to introduce yourself, what you do at Discord, and your favorite color at the moment.
Yeah. I'm a product manager at Discord. I lead the community engagement team. So if you all ever used Discord before, if you've used anything with like a community server, we build all the products for people to engage, for your members to engage. So we just released forum channels this year, and we work on things like stages or events or like announcement channels. And so whatever we need to get members to talk to each other in an online setting, that's what my team works on. And my favorite color, I think it changes all the time, but I think right now I'm kind of interested in peach. I think it's really pretty and it's a good vibe. Yeah.
Is it really based on your hair color?
My hair color changes all the time. So I think I usually don't decide until like I show up to the hair salon and then we just figure it out from there.
Honestly, I gotta figure that out for myself. Anyway, so product management, that is a cool, hot title that like is thrown around within the business school a lot. I just wanted to ask, like, you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but define in your own words, define product management tailored to what you do at Discord. It does sound like a cool title, but we don't really often know like the nitty-gritty details of like what it entails. So yeah, I just wanted to know about like what's your usual day like from when you wake up to ending it off.
So I think it varies a lot. Product management is a really like loaded career term, and it depends on what industry you're in and whether you're on like the Silicon Valley type tech or more traditional tech. But I work in consumer apps, so like social media, and PMs are in the intersection of like business and design and engineering. And we essentially are responsible for building great products for our users, and we rally a whole team to do that. So we don't necessarily go build the things, but like we kind of orchestrate how that happens, why it happens, and when it happens. And we work with people not on the product team to like understand their needs, and we just like make it happen. So the day-to-day it varies a lot. So I would say like Wednesdays are very different from Fridays, but essentially throughout the week, we are responsible for making sure our product team, which includes software engineers, data scientists, product marketing managers, sometimes user researchers, and sometimes like there are other people too, and making sure they all understand the team's priorities to ship like the next set of features. So if I'm like Facebook dating and I want to launch the dating app, what are the set of features that we need to get ready for that version 1 of launch? What are all the requirements? So I'm responsible for like identifying those, explaining why, and sharing that with the team, and then working with my engineering manager to make sure every single week we like finish those, like we burn down those to-do lists, and then we get to the final product, and then we can like be ready for launch. So it's kind of like, I don't know, being like a director of this organization, like you have to put on events and you have to like get everyone to do the things to get to the launch day and the conference day, but mostly in a software setting. Yeah.
How's that feel?
It is a lot more stressful than I thought it would be. Yeah, there's a lot of responsibility, but I think it was a good match for what I was looking for. And yeah, I think it depends. If it depends on the cycle. Like you're really excited to put on an event or launch a thing, but there are nights where you're just like so tired and you're like, how am I going to get to the next day? And then when it launches, you're like, oh, thank God. So I think it really goes up and
It's
down.
over. It's done.
Yeah.
We're good, but it gives you would you say it gives you fulfillment? Like very much.
I can't say that with a straight face. I
Mhm.
think that a lot of people will join the tech industry because it's a really good industry, but it's you have to work. Like I'm gonna be real, it's a corporate atmosphere. Like you have to play the game. It's not like if you had anything to do in the world, if you had any choice, I don't think most people would be in this space. I think they would be doing something else that is more like mission driven. But I think that it's not my long-term plan. So I'm really glad to be building skills and the competency and the credibility and the know-how and the network to eventually do, I don't know, something way more mission driven. But I think overall it's like really fun. I'm at a really good place.
That's so nice. What would you say is what's your favorite part of working in this industry?
Mm, I think that I think there's a couple of things. Um, One is I chose tech because out of the industries I was like looking into, I was pre-med before, so that was a consideration. I also was in the uh what department? I was in the industrial engineering operations research department, and that include financial engineering. And a lot of people went into finance and consulting, so I'm really glad I didn't go there. I really think it's not a good match for me. I think I'm really casual of a person. So I think that me being able to not have to be like super buttoned up at work and be more silly is something I enjoy. So that's why I kind of went to the consumer side and the social media side, and then also gaming. I worked in games before as well. And Discord's actually considered a games industry um, company. So kind of in the game scene. And I just really like to see people express themselves and not like have to, I don't know, talk to a robot. It's kind of weird. So I like that a lot. Yeah.
Awesome. Now switching gears a little bit. Um, you guys are talking to you're talking to a bunch of college kids. Most of them are college kids right here. Under Manoa's business school, and a common worry for undergraduates in general, to put it simply, is that we have no idea what we're doing at all. So to paint a picture of the current college scene at the moment, all of us are out here looking for opportunities, whether it be internships, trying to earn certificates, joining business clubs, volunteering, everything you could think of to figure out our dream career. From what I hear, like, and as you mentioned a little bit before, you started out in pre-med, you didn't suddenly want to start working in product. So this is going to be a long story, and you did call your career path a hot mess in one video at one point. Tell us how you started off from pre-med to now. I know it's a long story, but if you would like to start from the beginning, I think it would be very helpful to hear your journey to how you got from there to where you're at today. So I know a whole lot. Good enough. Got it. So what happened? What have you heard before UHM internet happened?
I think you're basically asking me, how did you start this? How did
Yeah,
you
how
start
did
your
you
windy
start your
career path?
from pre-med,
Okay.
so we don't.
Okay, pre-med, parents forced it, but I didn't know how to say no, so I took all the courses and I hated it because pre-med students are so competitive, and like cheat off of my chemistry homework when when I'd be taking a nap. She would steal my homework from my backpack and like be like, "Hey, can I copy your homework?" But I'm passed out, so I didn't say anything. And then, but I like can vaguely remember. And then she would copy it, and then she wouldn't tell me if I got anything wrong. So that gave me a really bad impression of pre med. So then I had engineering classes, and I was like, "Oh my god, engineers are really cool because they don't care about the grades as much, and everyone's getting C's anyways, so they just want to learn." And so that was a really interesting path forward. But then I felt that I was a people person. So I went into people operations in tech. And I realized that I am very not extroverted enough to be in the people ops, recruiting, operations space as much. Even though I think I was competent and very good at it, it was just like not a match for the people I would surround myself day to day. And then I went into business development and partnerships. So I worked with a lot of like creators and worked with big labels, gaming companies, studio productions, and did a lot of like agreements, content campaigns, partnership events, and produced a couple shows. It was really cool, but I worked a lot of Hollywood agencies, and Hollywood agents are like vicious. They're like sharks, and they're very different. And I am a really honest person, and I can't lie. And there are a lot of people I don't know how to see through. So I was like, I do not have the skill set for this. I would get crushed. And then I realized that I was always really interested in building product. Like I was always thinking, how can I make this better for the end user, for my creator? So then I moved into product, and it took me several years to get there, but I'm here today. I think that's more or less my path.
What I want to hear about, you worked at these companies, Facebook, TikTok, Google. Could you elaborate? They did a little bit in your videos. For people who aren't familiar with your videos, you're very honest about your industry, the industry in tech, of how like brutal it can be. Would you mind talking about like how you went? Because you started off at Google, correct?
Yeah.
Could you talk about that journey, about how you ended up in people operations at Google to where you are today to actually working in product?
I just sprayed and prayed my resume to get that first job. And that's it. I like literally just applied to a bunch of places, and I got one call back, and I was like, all right, we gotta like follow up. We gotta just study. I didn't really have any connections, and I don't really recommend it. I think getting warmer connections is always best. So I kind of just took what I could get. And if I could go back, I would hold off on doing that and not rush into like trying to make money and trying to have my first full-time career if I could. Um, but then I quickly realized it wasn't for me. So then after that, I started to ask around, do I still want to stay in big tech, or do I want to go to a startup? And then I talked to a bunch of people inside the company and outside, and I started to ask friends of friends. I was in SF at this time. So meeting a lot of people in the space was really easy. Um, and I was meeting people in the games industry and going to tournaments. And then I really just liked their spirit. And I felt that if I stayed in big tech, I would not really learn that fast because big tech just moves a lot slower. So I decided to go the startup route, and then I joined a really small startup, really early stage, was the 14th hire. And it was really cool. But I think one thing about startups is like startups are really romanticized. Like, oh my God, I'm going to be part of this big family. And I think I was extremely bright eyed and excited. And I put my heart and soul into this company. But in the end, it's still a company and you're a resource. And so having that separation of this is a job and this is not my life was a big lesson I had to learn from that experience, because eventually things changed. Like all the promises that were made, eventually culture changed. We raised like several other rounds of funding. We started to attract other people in the industry who aren't as like-minded as we were once before. Certain norms were not okay anymore. And things just changed. We like hired middle management. It just got really big, really fast. And then I left to go back. I got really scarred with startups, actually. So I'm very wary of them. But I still think it's good. If you can find a really good group, I still think it's a great experience. But honestly, like because it's so small, one bad apple really ruins the entire experience. But then I went to big tech again. I wanted to protect myself a little bit more. And then I realized, oh my God, I'm not doing anything. Because like you could really become one of the, 50,000 people there and not move anything or not do anything interesting. And actually, I didn't realize that that's a really great place to be. Like if you're in a place where you just need a lot of work-life balance, you need to come back home at a given time every single day, and you don't want so much I don't know, fires to put out emergencies, like big random things happening, then you should join a larger company that's more stable. But I think I was like really hungry at the time. So I joined TikTok. And then TikTok was a rocket ship of a mess. It was just like the fastest growing company startup I've ever been a part of. And the way that the engineers there were just like so cracked. They can build so like the fastest I've ever seen. So it was a lot of a great learning experience. But I think working the working hours are crazy because I had to be awake in the morning for Europe and then stay up really late at night for China, and I still had to stay online during the daytime for US. So I was like, well, I don't have a life. Like, why? Yeah. And then now I'm at Discord. So I think that is kind of the trajectory.
Wow. How, hmm, how do we put this? Yeah, in your videos and right now, you've been very open about like the emotional journey that occurred with everything you've been through, with the long working hours and like, like being on call like most of the time and things are moving very fast. Um, I guess how would you compare Chloe Shih earlier in her college days to what you are now? Or I guess like how would you compare yourself from then to now?
Um, I think early college days, I was just a really good girl. Like I would just I have the thing where maybe it's just my age and upbringing, but with authority figures, I will just like do what they tell me to do, and I'm really good at it. Like I was a really good student. But I think that that muscle is one of my biggest regrets that I kind of fall back to, because I never would think for myself and learn how to push back and like learn to question and learn to have a healthy conversation on why I shouldn't do this. So I think early on in my college years and early on in my adulthood, I was definitely someone who everyone wanted on their, like group project, because I would just do whatever they need me, and oftentimes that person is the one who gets shafted the most because it's their time that's being used up. And what I really didn't know how to value was like my own personal headspace to think for myself and think like, is this what I want to be spending my time with? And do like a gut check or a values check or a time check. Like I didn't know how to put myself first. And because I didn't do that, I didn't know how to like talk about it. I didn't know how to ask for it when people asked me. And then I just like started to exercise that muscle over and over again. So it becomes like a forced habit. So it's really hard to break that habit. So I think the biggest growth arc today is that I'm so much better at just saying like, hey, this is just not worth my time. I have other priorities, and I think it's been a lot healthier for me. And I wish I just had that foresight back then. Yeah. I had a lot of FOMO back then too, and now I just like don't really. Yeah.
Speaking of healthy, what are some things you do now what are some work-life boundaries that you set for yourself?
Um, I think the biggest one is actually, I mean, it goes beyond just let's stop work at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. and have time for dinner. I think even during work, it can't be something that you're completely like glued to your work all day and you're unable to address any personal boundaries. I think that I'm trying to build more breathing room in my daytime and to work with my team to have more reasonable like timelines and commitments and be able to say like to make better promises on when we deliver and get things done and push back, because burnout is really real, and that mental load, that cognitive load that you have at work will bleed into your rest in the evening. Like you will just keep thinking about that work, or like how draining your day is just going to drain your evening. So you won't even have any energy to do anything else. So I think my whole like practice right now is trying to conserve my energy so I have more energy to spend outside elsewhere after working hours and on the weekends. Yeah.
What
But
does
yeah.
oh
Oh, sorry.
um what does conserving your energy look like in your day? What
I
activities?
I think it's like even if I look at my calendar and I have the next 2 hours free and someone wants to talk, I'll still push it to next week because I think having that space in your calendar to just like stop and think about your work and think about more long-term things and not just do the things on your to-do list is really important. And a lot of product management is me being in meetings all the time, and meetings can be the death of you. Like you are literally not thinking about the future, and you are constantly stuck. And every meeting requires you to do more work, so you'll always be in like this cycle of never-ending to-dos. So I will push people, like I will just like ask them to reschedule with me the week after or 2 weeks after that, if they really need me. Otherwise, I'll just ask them to talk to me async and send me updates, or like ask them directly what do they need from me, because I don't need it to be a 30-minute meeting. They can just tell me and I can read in 5 minutes and give you a response in another five and we'll be done. Yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing. I think, oh yeah, sorry. On the note of product management, a lot of meetings, what really good PMs have to do is be pretty much like 10 steps ahead of everyone else. And you have to have thought through a lot of the problem space that you're working on. So I work on communities. And so being an expert on like community engagement, community management, like servers in all kinds of niches, it takes a lot of time for me to like understand what those users go through, what their pain points are, so that when I get to the meeting where someone asks me, what do we do in this problem? I already have an opinion. And I don't have to be like, let me think about that. I need to go like do my research. Like being able to have an opinion right then and there will separate you from someone who doesn't really have experience to someone who is can be counted on for a decision to be made there. Yeah. So that's why space in your day is really important. Yeah.
Oh, what do you do for fun? Little break from the deep questions real quick. What do you do for fun?
I sing for fun, take singing lessons. I think it's really good. I make a lot of videos, of course, for YouTube and Instagram. My partner loves playing video games, so he always asks me to play with him. And I really love watching anime or Korean dramas or just like really bad rom-coms. Like I don't know, they're so good. Yeah, and I just mm, probably talk to my brothers on Discord because they're much younger than me and I think they're hilarious. Just like making fun of them is a lot of joy. And just doting on them as their big sister. One of them is in college and the other one is graduating. So it's just like fun to look at life through their eyes.
That's so much fun. Yeah, you're talking about like work-life balance and like how like you implement that into your life. I guess I just wanted to know how like the other side of Chloe, of how like the fun Chloe, other than work and stuff like that. So I think that's very important to see like the human side of you, how amazing you are with all these other and stuff. um, Transitioning to the next question. After everything you've experienced in your career, what do you think is the one lesson that you took away? The most
Mm,
important lesson.
I think there's a lot. But I think that probably something that I would tell myself if my younger self going into career is to trust your gut a lot more, and that your gut is oftentimes correct, even if you're young and you don't know you haven't been in the space for very long. Because I think I doubted myself a lot, and I deferred to people in executive positions who are just like way more senior, 10 years, 20 years older than me, because I thought I didn't know any better as like a new grad. But in reality, my gut was very right. And I was right like most of the time. I just wasn't confident in my decision. So I couldn't sway anyone's like outlook on any decision and the consequences, like me having to spend that time. So I think the one lesson is that you are, just because you are young or you've been in the scene for less time, that doesn't mean you're any less competent. And that a lot of people are kind of BSing their everyday. And the ability to snuff that out really fast will carry you far, because there are a lot of scams out there. So having a like a keen eye or like a very critical eye for that, and and trusting yourself. And then having the courage to call that out when appropriate will take you very far.
Is there a particular moment that made you realize this lesson?
I don't think so. I think it's just like, uh, it's just like if you're a freshman in college, you're all wide-eyed and excited about college life, and then by the second semester or whatever, you're all jaded already, or like by the third year, you're all jaded and you already know the game, and you're like, okay, these are things I can ignore. These are things I have to pay attention to. I think that is just what happened in my adult years, where I just like went through too many um cycles of really tough career moments where I just like had to work a lot. And some crazy stuff happened at work, and I got pummeled enough to the point where like it doesn't really phase me anymore, and I can trust my gut, and I know when someone doesn't know what they're talking about. And so that becomes really important for me to suss out new opportunities to work with, because you choosing your manager, your leadership, your team is basically that their energies are going to be around you all the time. So you're basically choosing how you want to feel every day by like joining a company, by joining the team. And you have to know if these are the right people for you to help you grow. Yeah. So it wasn't one particular moment, but I would say I felt like this more strongly about like 3 years ago. Yeah.
I have a question before we move on to audience questions. I ask this to every new professional that I meet. What are you most proud of in your life so far, whether it be personal or career-wise?
I'll probably give you both. For personal, I think I am just really proud of making it financially in this industry, because I really came from like a nobody type background. Yeah, immigrant parents, like food stamps kind of kid. And we really didn't have money or connections. And I think I just like went the path of I'm gonna just study as hard as I can. I'm also the oldest sibling, so caring for my brothers was really important to me. So when I finally started making enough money in product management and I could like pay for shoes for my brothers or like buy them, I don't know, some anime poster or whatever, like something dumb. It was really big because like as a kid, those mean so much to you. Like those $20, $40 things mean so much. And I just really wish that they had more of that when they were much younger so that they could, I don't know, express themselves and understand themselves sooner. So I'm really proud of that. Career wise, I mean, I'm proud of a lot of things on my career, but I think the thing that I really look back to as a highlight is if any of you are gamers, I was working at the live streaming startup and I was working with a cosplayer named Stella Chu. And I pitched this cosplay transformation series with a bunch of Twitch streamers where I really wanted to redefine beauty. And I felt like I was looking at a lot of social media influencers and I was like, I don't look like that. And I just feel really horrible about myself. But what if we took like your everyday people who plays games, who probably don't really care about their looks as much, and like show the process of transforming them into their favorite anime characters or super or video game heroes. So we worked with people like Lily Pichu and Scara and Disguised Toast and Valkyrie and like yeah, basically all the offline TV, Just Friends, House, really early on, like before they were as big as they are today. And then that was like the series that was like super fun for me. And it transformed someone else's content career, creator career. Oh my God, this is falling. Oh, did you see that? Hold on. Okay. Gonna make sure that that's okay. Hopefully that doesn't fall. But anyways, yeah, that was really fun. We did it at the Fox lot in LA. The 21st Century Fox, like we had a whole studio. We brought in talent, got to meet everyone, and we just like did it. Yeah. It was hilarious. I stayed up until like midnight or 1 a.m. with them and took a lot of photos and it was sick.
Man, you did a lot.
Yeah, I've had a long career.
Long career.
Yeah.
So yeah, after hearing all of that, like, totally, like maybe I'm complimenting you too much, but you are really amazing, and like you should like I hope you're proud of like what you've done, and like I'm sure like your story it really helps like a lot of people in this room, like hearing about your experiences just to worry like a little less. We're all BSing life, as you said.
Yeah.
So now I guess we did end up like 5 minutes early. We are now going to open up for questions from the audience. So if you guys have any questions, make sure if you guys are in the back, make sure to like yell because it's picking up the questions from here. But if anyone has any questions for Chloe, y'all can just raise your hand and yell it out over there. You, exactly.
Okay. I was wondering if you had any advice for new grads who are going to start their career in tech and are now competing with more experienced candidates due to the recent massive layoffs.
That's a tough one. Wait, can you still hear me? Okay, cool. So, no one's gone through this period before in our like generation gap. And I think it's going to be tough for everyone. I think 2023 will be the year that you will see the companies with the right leadership rise because everyone's going to be strapped for cash and growth, and there's going to be a lot of investor pressure. So what that means is that there won't be a lot of headcount for hiring. So they'll only really hire for essential roles. And that does mean that probably new grad roles will be a lot limited. It could be that new grad roles will be a lot limited, or it could be that new grad roles are opening because they want to hire talent for less. So we don't know which way it's going to go. What you should be able to understand at this time is to like understand which companies you think are going to live and last through the economy. And that's really tough if you like don't read tech news and don't like understand which executives are in charge. And I think that's something I've only learned over time. So I think getting a sense of like, hey, probably shouldn't join Twitter right now is a very good move. And I also think that a lot of new grads think that they want certifications. I will say that unless you're in a technical role, certifications don't mean anything. And what you can get out of certifications is a story. So you'll always get asked like, what experience do you have with this particular technology in the team that you're being interviewed for? You can reference a certification in a project that you've worked on as like your interview story and write that as your headliner on your resume to stand out, because a recruiter doesn't care about your credentials. Your recruiter cares about the story that you can tell and why you're a match for the job rec that they're trying to fill. I think another tip I have is in college, I didn't have any connections, and you'll probably need it like for referrals. And I think there are people who are incentivized to give referrals out, but I always ignore all of my LinkedIn requests and like inbox emails because like there's just way too many of them. But what really helps for you to stand out in this like situation is if there's someone that you really want to connect with or get a referral from, just like stalk what they care about. Like my friend reached out to me about a connection of this like director of customer success, and I was like, I have no idea who she is. Like, I can't give you I can't give you an intro, but she has a Slack community listed on her LinkedIn. Join her Slack community, like spend some time in there, send messages so that your username pops up several times to the point where she responds to you. Now she knows who you are. And so the next time you reach out to her, you'll be a warm intro and she won't think you're a stranger. And then she's more likely to respond to you and like spend time with you and help you out. So yeah, I think those are a couple of tips.
Thank you.
Jolene.
Okay. What skill factors make an individual different from the rest?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
What skill factors make an individual different from the rest?
Skill factors?
You want to come to the mic real quick? Closer? Yeah, just.
Yes, like skill factors, like skills that can set someone apart from someone else.
Do you know what you're interested in?
I'm interested in marketing.
Marketing. Ooh, okay. So if you're interested in marketing in a tech environment, I think marketing is essentially storytellers. They're a bunch of storytellers, and they use different levers to know how far the story will go and to whom they will reach. And they have to be able to craft and wordsmith stories in a way that is really bite-sized and consumable by the right segments. So what separates a good marketer from a not so great one is if I can say to a like I'm a product manager, I need to launch my feature, I need to work with a marketer and be like, I need to sell this feature, I need people to use it. What are the best ways to do it? When do we do it? How do we do it? And you can be able to say then and there, this is going to speak to XYZ type of users. We're going to get them through these channels. And the best way to do that is doing it at this time with like these campaigns. Do we do it on a billboard? Do we do a Facebook advertising thing? Do we just post it on like a YouTube video? Do we work with a commercial? Do we? Yeah, it's like all of those levers. You have to understand audiences and eyeballs and what resonates with them, what medium resonates with them to sell your product. So being able to like know that in your industry, in the particular industry you pick, will be really powerful. My approach to this kind of work is I'm not very good at knowing like knowledge across the world. I'm just really bad at that. So I just had to pick one space and like become the expert in that space. And gradually over time, the people who understand that space better than you will decrease. And then you eventually become the expertise, and it makes you pretty much indispensable, and you'll always be hireable for the rest of your career if you continue that path. So that's what I recommend. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ooh. You, you have it.
Cool. My name is Tyler. I'm a social media director for a church here. But I also make YouTube videos about anime, and I know you talked about work-life balance before. So my question is, can you expand on your work-life balance, but also like how you balance your time in your life with content creation as well?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm gonna be real. Like, even though I talk about work-life balance, it's mostly an aspirational thing. I don't think I have my shit together most of the time. Um, Anyone who has more than one job is tired. Like, working is tiring. That's it. Like, if you just have one job, like, kudos to you. But people who have two and they're a parent, it's insane. It's always a juggling act. So I have a professional coach through my company. We have benefits through getting a coach, and she helps me work through my productivity, my ability to like set boundaries, what I need to say no to, what are things that are not with my time, so I like can make a decision faster. Um, I also have a therapist to talk me through that in a different, I guess, lens. Um, and I think that the when I know my work-life balance is breaking or things are breaking for me is when I start like breaking down or like getting stressed or getting like Sunday scaries or just getting an anxiety attack because there's so much happening. I have so many deadlines. But I think right now, the fact is I've always wanted to create content, express myself and share my voice and be creative and tell my story in these ways. I'm always thinking about it. I do need to be in this world where I need to balance content and a full-time job. And to do that, I need to set like clear things I will just fail at. What am I just not going to be great at? I can't do everything. What am I going to say no to? I can't do everything. I get a lot of speaking requests actually, and I mostly decline. Most of them I decline because I just like don't have that much time. So I set a max amount that I can hit, and then I will just say no for the rest of the year. In terms of content, I was hiring a team. I had a whole team. Like I went through 7 different editors this year, and it's just a lot. Content is like much more complicated than I never thought it would be. So I think it's still a balancing act, but I've gotten a lot better with it because I don't think that I think people who get overwhelmed by like everything are people who try to boil the ocean when you should just like be really good at one thing and keep that to your one thing and just make sure you feel good about doing that and know that you're not everyone else. So that takes a lot of like inner work. A lot of my productivity stuff is like setting quotas and benchmarks. Like I won't take more than, I don't know, 2 brand deals a month. I will only push out a video once every 3-4 weeks. I have to sleep at a certain hour. If I start feeling anxiety, then I need to take a night to just like watch anime, and I won't be able to put out a video, and that's okay. I'll take a mental health day from work if I feel like my mind is not present at work, and I will just chill out. So those are some things I've like implored upon myself.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I do.
What are your thoughts on the gaming industry and its future? Because it seems like it's very fast growing, but also overlooked.
I heard the first part. Is the second part? It's very fast burning.
Fast paced.
Oh, fast paced.
Growing very fast, but it's also very overlooked.
Overlooked.
Yeah.
Dude, gaming's a big industry. Gaming makes money. It's I forgot how many billions of dollars, but it's really good industry. But it pays a lot lower. So I loved working in the gaming industry because there's just nothing like it to be in a industry where people like absolutely are obsessed with the product, and they're so eager when a launch comes out. Like no one's excited about a new feature on Facebook. Like nobody cares that someone created a new button like on your mobile app. It's not that interesting. But for games, when games release, like it means your childhood and whatever. And there's like so much story behind it. The games industry itself is very male dominant, and it has a lot of very, very bad cases, like a lot of bad cases. The good news is every time you go to a gaming event, the line at the women's restroom is very short. So you can use the restroom very quickly. So that's good. The other bad thing is you probably won't get paid as much if you were just in normal tech. And I think that's like the price for passion. But there is a world where you do make a good amount of money. If you work in like an indie game studio, you're not going to make money at all, and you're grinding all the time. So you got to suss out like which companies are trying to get you to crunch, and that means that you're just working nonstop. But if you work at larger companies like a Microsoft and working the gaming division, or you work at Riot, your work-life balance will be so much better. So that's really important. I like being on the tech and gaming intersection because it's not really affected by gaming crunch, and it has the money of a tech giant. So then kind of get the best of both worlds. I still get to go to like TwitchCon and stuff if I want to, or E3 or like PAX West if I wanted to. So it's cool. But there's so many roles in games. Like I think whenever I meet someone who like was part of the Arcane team, my eyes glow. I'm like, no way, that is ridiculously cool. But when people meet me, they're like, oh, okay, Discord, all right? I know, I use Discord. Yeah, it's cool. So it's different. Like it depends on what you care about, and yeah.
I'll go with you.
Yeah, I was wondering about like the tech teams that you work with at Discord, like maybe the sizes, and like overall, like how do you manage like to keep the tech teams you work with on the same page? Like you mentioned, like an engineering manager. It's like overall, like the dynamic of working with the tech team.
Yeah. So the dynamic is you and your engineering manager, as a product manager, you and your engineering manager or your EM have to be best friends. Like you guys are together forever. Like y'all have to be talking to each other all the time on the same wavelength. If anyone asks either of you the same question, you better say the same answer. And having that trust is really, really hard and takes a lot of time. I think there's always tension between the two, though. Engineering management will always try to protect the engineers and like say, okay, we're going to take much longer to develop this. And then product will always say, why aren't we shipping faster? Why aren't we shipping faster? So it's always like a dance between the two. How can we find a good middle ground? PMs also work really closely with data scientists. And this is a really difficult, I guess, relationship as well, because PMs are always incentivized to move metrics. So if the company, so like the CEO says this year, we just really want to increase revenue. All the PMs should care about is increasing revenue. Nothing else matters. Absolutely nothing else. But there's a lot of things that matter that won't roll up to the bottom line, like quality dashboards, like the long-term stuff. We can't always make short-term shortcuts because that means we have a lot of like tech debt later on, and we have to account for that. Yeah, so being able to have like a good relationship with my data scientists and being on track of like, are we actually building and creating impact here, or are we just like building and nothing's happening? Like, how do we know? How do we learn that really fast? With the rest of the engineers, it is less stressful. I think it's mostly more of a fun dynamic. Like we just talk at the team meetings, we talk about priorities, we hang out. We have like a regular couch time where we just hop in a voice channel and just kind of talk about nothing. That's always good. We play test a lot. So I think engineers really care about when their features are being used and it's a positive story. Like they feel good when they build something and someone was like, oh my God, I'm using it. It's awesome for my server. So I usually try to be that voice to represent and like bring that story to make them feel like they are doing something great out there. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that is kind of what it is. PMs are very team captain vibes, but we don't do the actual work. And everyone else are on execution, and we pair really closely with the engineering manager.
We have a Zoom question actually from someone. Who was your go-to mentor when you were contemplating big decisions?
It depends. So I think that I get this question a lot about mentorship in general. And I think the question stems from how do I find a good mentor for me? And I think that there are a couple of things to know here. Like mentors are not just people with fancy titles who are 20 years older than you. I think that's cool. But I think that mentors are people who can help you make a decision, who has experience with the decision you're trying to make. So if you're trying to get into college, then it's probably a freshman in college to help you decide. So when I was going through big decisions, I think it was my first, whether I should go into startups, whether how I should negotiate my compensation, and let's probably whether I should go and become my own, I don't know, C-suite type of person. So I think those are a couple. I think the first one was a startup one, and I did talk to a lot of people. And I think the biggest mentor I had was someone I worked with in a nonprofit with. His name is Teddy Liao. He is a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and he was really dope. And he gives a lot of great frameworks. When I was trying to work through my compensation, I've never negotiated just before, and I was really bad at it. I was really timid. I worked with my old TikTok director who I built a strong relationship with when I worked there. And I was like, hey, I'm working. Oh, he already left the company. So I was sharing with him that I got an offer from Discord. How do I negotiate this? He told me to read a book. He coached me through the conversations. I also like messaged my old manager if he had any advice at Facebook. And then right now, I think last year I had a lot of offers to like become a director of product of sorts at a smaller startup. And I think that I just really didn't want to join a smaller startup because I don't know, it's a lot of work. So I talked to my friend who was the director of product at SoundCloud to help me understand what it takes at that level. Like, what do I need to sacrifice? Because when you get to the director level, it's just a lot of sacrifices you got to make. Like, you're just busy. You don't work a normal 8-hour workday. I cannot chill. So it's just like, do I want that? Do I want to be the career woman, or do I just want to be someone who's available to hang out with you on Thursday night? Like, I chose the latter. Yeah. So those were my decisions and mentors.
This might be your last question, Monica.
Yeah, do you have any big personal or professional goals for the long term?
Yeah. So my biggest goal is to be a mom, and I just want to be someone who's available mentally and emotionally and financially, of course. I think for the longest time, wanted to be like a C-suite person. I wanted to be an exec in Silicon Valley. I just really was excited about people who knew how to be founders. And I don't want to crush anyone's dreams, but I think this is a hot take. I think it's super overrated and really elitist. And like, it's just not interesting to me. Like, if you are power playing in your company and like kind of on other execs in the industry and trying to just boost yourself up all the time, like I think those people get really tiring to hang around with in the long term. And who I've really come to love enjoying spending time with are people who just don't have hidden agendas, don't want to show off, don't want to one up you, and just really want to know who you are in the moment and like have a good night with you or a good day and just really experience like what the present is. Like if we're playing a board game, we're going to have a great time playing the board game and we're going to learn about it and we're going to share stories, but we're not going to complain about, I don't know, some sort of startup exit that and how much money they made and their TechCrunch Forbes Fast Company feature. So, yeah, but I would say like it happens in different stages of life. I was really career oriented. Now I just want balance and I just want to be a good person. And I want to be available and I want to be healthy too. Health is like really difficult. Body is getting old. But yeah, I would also say that this is really hard to do. Being able to be on top of your career and be available outside of it is actually a lot more difficult than I really imagined. So this is probably a really difficult goal, probably harder than becoming exec. That is a more straightforward path. So wish me luck. Yeah.
Yeah, good. So this brings us to the close of our program and we thank the First Insurance Company of Hawaii for making the speaker series possible.